Stand ready.
It'd be good if I hit the record button. That'd be really awesome. Everybody, that'd be sweet. What up, what up, what up? And welcome to episode 33 of Caesar's Show, where I do know where to hit the record button. It is the #1 podcast dedicated to the Rainbow Six Siege community, and I'm your host, the less pro out of all of us once again for another week, Too Loud TX. And here with me today, my co-host, the man himself, bringing it back once again, Mr. Remorse.
Hello.
Hey, man. So what happened with the Go 4 tournament today?
I was supposed to fill for a team, and then they had to buy the first round, so it ended up that their player ended up getting back in time anyways. So I had signed up on their team, and then we were gonna start, but then we didn't start, and so now I just kind of got like, it was like, you can just go play ranked though, that'll be fun. And I was like,
well, you know, you got up,
Well-
you brushed your teeth, look at you did your hair, you got all dressed, and then
Right?
you were ready. You were there with your makeup, well, not makeup on, but you know, whatever it was.
Stop making stupid faces, Fox. God.
I don't get an intro.
Hey, hold on. Hey, you're not allowed to talk yet. All right, calm
Yeah,
down.
you're
We're
not real
getting to
yet.
you.
I got
yeah,
instigated.
you don't exist yet. Golly, guest pushing in here. Man, I'm just trying to give you a righteous
So
intro.
entitled.
You're over here. Yeah, my goodness. All right, here we are. Our guest today, a teammate of Remorce's from Astral Authority. He's known by some of the other in the community as the Discount Eclipse. Here with us back today, Astral FoxA. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How
I
you
don't
been?
like
How
that
you-
nickname.
It's a
Oh,
great nickname.
I heard you love it. The Discount Eclipse.
I mean,
Solid, man. It's a solid. But hey, what you do have to give us while you're on the show, throw it in the mix somewhere. You have to give us some blackmail on Remorse. So whatever you got, and any type of thing you got, you gotta let it stew. Let it stew.
so-
You don't have to tell me now.
It's not
But
real. It
as
doesn't
we
exist.
as we get, there has to be something wrong with you, Remorse. Something out there,
Basically
some
perfect.
type of blackmail. Basically perfect.
okay,
Well, I don't think that's true.
Just a
but-
black
so-
beard, man.
I'm just gonna put it out there. The remorses, the
There are two.
the rumors that Remorse has been dating a guy. It's true because it's me. So
Okay.
I'm his wife, his fiance.
Breaking
Yeah.
news right here. It's him, FoxA.
Yep, we've been discovered. Oh no.
You're not as pretty as he told me you once were. So, but hey, you know, well, best of luck to
Each
you guys.
their own.
Well, hey, as always, guys, this is the podcast dedicated to the Reddit Rainbow Six, which is found at reddit.com/r/Rainbow Six. And this past week, we also teamed up with the guys over at Six Nations. So check those guys out, Six Nation HQ on Twitter. And obviously, we are pushing the breachingsiege.com website as well. And Remorse, just to reiterate, I used a website that you mentioned a few weeks ago on the show. Once again, I used it this week when I was casting on the BWL, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But R6 Maps. So, guys, that is a great resource that
really
Remorse
is.
dropped here a few weeks ago. You guys need to go use that. So check it out, r6maps.com. So FoxA, let's jump right in here, buddy. You got to tell me a little about yourself. How you got into gaming, how you got onto Astral, how you got stuck here with friends as Remorse, besides Siege. What else do you play? You know, that kind of thing. So fill us in here. What's your background, bro?
Well, I started playing CS in like the 1.6 days, like right when it ended, when Go came out. And I just kind of stuck with that for like 4 or 5 years. I never really got anywhere out of it. I went to a couple LANs, but it was never really like super interesting.
So
and
you
then
sucked. You sucked at it.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to tell us.
I sucked.
Okay. All right.
But then I went to a LAN and I did like pretty good. So I was like, oh, I should get into this like competitively. But then Rainbow Six came out and a bunch of my team just split up. So I switched over to Rainbow Six. How I got started into the pro scene was, well, not pro scene, but how I kind of like found out about it was that I just kind of like dunked on some kids in a rank match and they were like, hey, you should join our clan. And I joined that. And with them, I got through meeting a couple of people, and then I made Lunatic, which had some people from my old first clan, like Mental Gibbles. Um, and I remember in season 3, Astral asked me if I wanted to try out for them before the season. I didn't, unfortunately, but then after the same invitation was offered to me, and I took it. And ever since I first started playing the game, me and Remorce's bond, got stronger and stronger. From first thinking each other cheated in every
Absolutely
game we played
hated
against
each
each
other.
other. Yeah,
Mm.
and then from that we became romantic. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't need to get into that part, but it is fun to figure out how you got to this point. And here's my son busting up behind me. Hey, in just a second. Thank you.
Here's the little
He's like,
key.
All right. So, anyways, back to this. So obviously fun to hear you guys get together and how it works out there in your relationship. But let's go ahead and jump over to some of the things about FoxA from you, Remorse. I mean, tell us a little about how he is as a teammate.
Well, initially there were concerns with picking up FoxA because a lot of people went around and said that he was very toxic and that he wasn't a a positive team member type thing. He wouldn't build anything to the team. But when we were trying him out, when we were talking with him, we found that to just not be true at all, and that it was rather that it was just the environment that he was previously in was not a super serious one, and that Foxy likes to use a lot of strategy in game. He likes to talk things through when things go wrong. He likes to review and fix. In the previous situation, he was with a team that didn't want to review things, that didn't want to rely on strategy. They were more of a pug style, very like a pug style. It's just like kind of like they played like a pickup game type deal a lot. And when things went wrong, they didn't really address them. They just said, "Oh well, it things happen. We'll just do it again, and it'll happen differently next time," which would just end up with him being frustrated in the situation. So it wasn't necessarily that he was a toxic individual. It was just in the environment that he was in was just not good. And when in
So
our environment, he was absolutely perfect. It worked out well, and it was an amazing fit.
so you join Astral and you bloom like a flower, is what he's saying. I believe that's kind of
Essentially.
kind of what's happening here. Well, so you said you started on CS:GO originally, right?
Yep.
And jumped over to this. Have you always been a PC gamer?
No, I was super big on the PS3 when it was first out, but then it got dropped down a flight of stairs, and I just decided to go to PC because I had a friend who was pretty good in CS:GO, and he just got me into that.
I think a lot of us did that with our PlayStation 3s, threw them downstairs. They were probably most entertaining that way. But I wasn't a big PS3 fan, just to say.
Yeah.
But so what about you? Remorse? Have you ever played any console games?
The last console that I owned was the Wii. Like when it came out.
Stop.
No, well, yeah, the
Solid.
Wii, and then I had a 3DS. I had a DS, which then a
Look,
Nintendo
my
3DS.
kid comes in the room and your cat comes in the room.
That was a dog.
It's oh, your dog, perfect.
Cat's
You guys
behind
not
the
have?
monitor
Do you
now.
not have doors?
Well, I have a door. If you didn't
mine
notice,
does.
he opened it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like Remorse, your dog just.
It'll get too hot, dude. It'll get too hot in the room.
Hey, we don't like
Not
to
my
exclude
fault.
ourselves from the world much
Okay.
like maybe you do. All right, we like to be, have open doors in our lives. Maybe you should learn that in your relationship here with Remorse.
Yeah,
Have an
folks.
open door.
I feel like that's
Well,
pressuring me to do.
hey, Remorse, tell me a little bit about any breaking news this week in the pro scene. Anything up that happened? Anything that us minions don't know about? Is there?
Honestly, nothing too exciting. We're in an off week where there's not going to be a lot of new things occurring until the actual LAN event happens. So there's not really going to be anything new, anything exciting. A lot of teams are remaining the same for the most part. There are minor changes occurring in a lot of different teams, and it's just I don't know. There's nothing like really huge going on, at least in the pro community.
Are we seeing a lot of roster changes?
No.
Not a whole lot. I know some teams that I would say for the vast majority of teams there aren't any roster changes occurring.
I think if I can input, like the higher teams definitely aren't really making any roster changes, but I think like the teams that aren't, at the top, I think like a lot of them have been trying out new teams recently. So I feel like in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be like some big changes coming.
Maybe some of the best players from some of the lower teams getting together and trying to
Probably
create
something like that.
a more competitive
Yeah.
team.
I don't know. I've just heard a lot of talk about the lower teams, like people have been trying other people out and stuff. So
Cool. Well, we have a lot to cover this week from Reddit, a lot of topics to cover. So we're just going to go ahead. Usually this is like the thing we do at the end of the show, but I have a lot of things to ask you guys opinions about, and they all came from Reddit this week. So let's go ahead and jump over to this week's topics of the week.
Intel incoming for this week's subreddit topic of the week.
All right, so the first one here is from DM2602. He says, Battleye's biggest ban wave in 6 months. 300 people banned in 5 minutes. I mean, man, Epi made a statement about this. Everybody's seen this going on if you're on the Reddit at all. Remorse, why don't you kick us off? I mean, what's causing these bans to occur?
Well, to start off, it's actually kind of rumored to be a bunch of different things. Initially, when it was first occurring, people were like, oh my God, it's these people who had the hacked DLL file in order to give them the unlock everything, where they would have future skins unlocked, they would have current skins, past skins, all of the operators. Essentially, it was a hacked file that would enable the player to get everything from operators to skins to charms to everything unlocked on that account, including future ones and ones that were put out and then removed. And it was a straight up just DLL hack where you would swap a file out, and that was and it was just rumored to be undetected for quite some time. It's been a long time coming, honestly. So to see it finally get banned is actually kind of nice because it's also a source of a lot of the leaks that were occurring. Because when they start building stuff into the game, when there's a big patch, they can't patch the game every single day. So a lot of times they end up front loading a lot of items that they might later include, but they just haven't enabled them server side. Well, this DLL completely circumvented that. And so you would have people having these skins weeks or a month before they were even supposed to come out, completely shutting down a lot of the hype that they were actually leading up to create them. So it was initially rumored that it was just that was getting banned, although later on, as things kind of progressed, as there were people going and filtering through the cheat forums to find some crying threads about people getting banned, people started to find things like the auto hotkey scripts were starting to get banned as well. Whereas previously they weren't really getting picked up that much, and apparently a lot of the auto hotkey scripts got picked up. So the things where you see guns firing constantly, and things like the T-Hunt hacks, the illustrious T-Hunt hacks. May we always remember Kevin.
stop.
So,
PTSD.
yeah, so it's just like these hacks are starting to get caught more, where people can hack the game's T-Hunt mode to give them, where you can get you can essentially max out renown points and you can gain somewhere like 30 levels a day if you're doing this. And getting unlimited ammo and all. It's a bunch of these trainers, and a lot of these things are finally getting detected again. So it's not just one thing. It seems like this Battleye update actually kind of apparently got multiple items, almost to the point where one rumor was that it's actually really worked on shutting down injection into the game, so that the traditional workarounds where they could still inject into the game, apparently the game's memory is unreadable now with this new update. So I guess to put that in a more in a really simplified version, it would be kind of if previously you have like an interstate and you have a cop up on the hill with a little radar gun, and that cop is Battleye. And he's scanning and he's seeing people who are speeding being the cheaters. And that would be like almost like the injection path of into the game. And again, simplifying it, so like don't like crucify me if I'm
Right.
like going over things improperly, but to get the general idea across is that rather than just adding more policemen on the side of the road, they have just shut off the interstate.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
no path in
s-
now.
I saw some things where it was like obviously macros, the auto hotkeys were things that were triggering it. There was a trigger bot that was released after the ban as well that was being picked up. There was a terrorist hunt god mode cheat that was occurring as well.
Yep.
A lot of this stuff you guys can find once again on the Reddit, but there was a guy named Jesus Reist that posted on there, and he doesn't work for Battleye, but what he said here is he said that he assists in blacklisting and the detection of private cheats, and he gives the info up, and it basically helps them block people. But he is not employed by Battleye, so he's on there. But you can find that post. It's right at the beginning of the Reddit if you want to go read all the details. But he kind of gives more details about all the things that they saw, and he continually gave updates throughout the week. And every time he updated it, basically was saying, hey, something else that was occurring, that they kept noticing that was included in the ban. So obviously saw that happen. For me as a console player, I don't ever see this because it doesn't happen on console. Very seldom. We used to see Firefight at the beginning, kick out a couple people. And then we were told that it was server wide, so it might not have been just on the console that we were seeing it. It was just the message was coming up because it was on servers all across the UB platforms. So it's I mean, for me, I'm glad that this occurs, even though I don't play on PC. But for you guys, especially, I'm sure you're very glad. I mean, Foxa, how do you feel about like seeing all these bans occur? I mean, is it encouraging to you for the game that we're always obviously trying to grow and be a part of?
Yeah, I think it's great that they're like starting to, ban people, get the game on the right track. I think they kind of like made a little mistake letting it go way out of hand the first 2 seasons, but I think they're trying to get back on track and show that they're trying to make Rainbow Six, an actual competitive game that people want to thrive in, and not just some hack full lobby like the old CODs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you played CS, did you ever run into problems with people cheating and stuff like that on there?
I know definitely in ranked, in the earlier seasons, yes, but I think like the ESEA anti-cheat, like the other third-party programs, really did a good job of cutting out all the hacks. So
Yeah, stepping in there and doing that as well. It took them a while too, though, didn't it, to kind of nail it down good?
Yeah, definitely. I think ESEA was one of the quicker ones. They were really good at it, but the other programs definitely. There's still people who cheat today, but I think like there's a lot less.
Yeah, there's always going to be cheaters. I don't, there's going to be something new that comes out until they, detect it. That'll always occur. So don't be a low life. Don't cheat. It's not that cool. Another thing that happened this week is the BWL, and I know that Remorse, you want to talk about this quite a bit. Obviously, I did some shoutcasting this week, starting to learn from the man himself, Bloodbath. My 2 cents about it is obviously that I think it's a pretty cool thing. What he's trying to do. And he's spending a lot of his own time doing it, and he's got some awesome admins that are helping him out try to do it. It's a big undertaking to try to create a, per se like a prep league for a pro game and do it in the community. But I know that you have some concerns as well about prepping people for that pro scene. Remorse. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off? Tell me what you think about the BWL, what the Bathwater League, for those of them out there that don't know what that is.
Okay. So to preface what I'm saying here is, this is criticism, but I mean this to be constructive criticism. So I guess Bloodbath, if you go to watch this, please understand this isn't me just trying to roast you or anything like that. I am trying to legitimately provide input and stuff like that. So to start with it, the Bathwater League, is really marketed as a stepping stone to ESL. It's a place for the amateur teams, for the up-and-comers, to establish a strong base, to make sure that your foundation is secure, make sure that you have a general idea of what you want to do before you go into the Go 4 Cups on Sundays and get first rounded. Whereas previously, that's what was happening a lot of the time. You would have these new teams that just got put together and would immediately get knocked out. And they just would never have the chance to really grow outside of scrims and things like that. And the BWL is another environment for these teams to grow, for these teams to get exposure and to improve. And I think that's an exceptional idea, and we really need more of it. And it's really filling a spot that has to be there, and that needs to be there for the game to improve, at least on the esports side of things. We need more amateur type functions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
he's doing from players all the way to like casters. Like that's his thing, is like, bringing in new people, getting more people involved in the community.
Right. But that being said, is that it feels like there's a lot of too much trying to reinvent the wheel. If this is a system that's supposed to foster the next pro league teams or the next teams that are going to be in the pro league, it should ideally have very similar rules, should have very similar map pools, which are my biggest gripes with it right now. Right now, you have the ability, so for example, right now in ESL, there are 8 maps that you can pick. And those, you have maps taken out, like Yacht isn't in there, Bartlett isn't in there, House isn't in there, Hereford isn't in there. You have these maps that have been removed because they are not balanced. They are maps that have long been very attacker-sided or defender-sided, like Plane as well. Plane, very defender-sided map. And these maps have been removed from the pool because they don't foster good gameplay. They encourage extreme pug style where you're jumping out windows at all times. They encourage extreme aggression, and they're not good to cast. They're not good to watch because all you see are teams constantly sprinting around outside, jumping out of the map, and relying on luck and timing rather than actual strategy. And actual, just when I say strategy, I mean like general gameplay where there's a plan other than let's jump out and see how many people we can kill, and maybe we might get the thermite and then we might win the round if we're defenders. Whereas the other side is let's just hang back and wait for them to jump out and then we'll have a gunfight. And these maps have been removed from the map pool for these reasons. The community has long since gone through extensive reviews and have tried to figure out what maps are the best to play competitive on. Not all maps are good for this. And and then you have the BWL, which also includes all of those maps. There doesn't seem to be an actual reason to include all of these maps that we've already spent a full year going through and determining which ones are the best and which ones are the worst to play competitively. And it seems the premise is that it's just like, oh, well, the pro teams, they just don't want to play those maps. They just don't want to play those maps. They don't want to learn them. And it's just not the case. And so what we have right now is this unique problem that's occurring right now is where we're seeing teams in the BWL that are newer teams, these amateur teams that are coming in. And what they're doing is their entire strategy revolves around not having a strategy. Their entire strategy revolves around banning out every single commonly played ESL map and forcing teams into a best of 3 involving Bartlett, Yacht, and Plane, or House, or Favela. And this happened multiple times where we're seeing through the bans where they're shaping teams into playing these off maps, at which point the other team, who's now forced into playing something in a competitive setting, playing Plane, playing Bartlett University, which still no one knows, playing maps like Yacht, which has long since been determined to be the least competitive map in the game. And you have teams that, because of this, they're not taking it seriously. They're sometimes just straight forfeiting their matches rather than actually play them, which results in the casters being very confused watching this extreme pug style gameplay where no one has a strat on it and the other team is relying entirely on just pugging it. And when I say pugging it, I mean playing it like a ranked game as if they had never met before and just randomly playing with no actual strategy going into the thing other than just sprinting around. And
Yeah.
it's not, if you're wanting to have a competitive, if it's supposed to be a competition, if it's supposed to be something that's prepping these teams to play ESL, it's not accomplishing that goal. Because all we're seeing is these teams that recognize, and I'm not saying that it's a bad strategy from a strategy point of view. It's smart because sometimes these newer teams, they recognize that they might not be as established on these maps as a team that may have been doing Go 4s a few weeks before them. Or if they just didn't have a strategy on a map in general, that's what they're doing now. And so it's just not, it just doesn't seem to actually be accomplishing the goal that it sets out to do, which is prep teams to become great ESL teams. And there are some teams in there that have great potential for that. But those other teams simultaneously take away from it, and it's the teams that take away from it that become very clear and very apparent. It's always the, I guess, the blister that brings attention.
Yeah.
So.
Personally, I'm a big fan of like the low-key maps, so like House, Plane. On some of my old teams, we were always really good at those maps, but even I have to completely agree. Like, usually the strats will be one of two different things that you can do. There's not a huge amount of strats you can do, and it's just not fun to watch. Like, I love those maps because I'm an aggressive player and I'm good at jumping out and getting a quick kill. So that's why I usually thrived on those maps. But yeah, it's not fun to watch because it's really small, fast pace. Everything usually happens, so it's hell for casters to cast, and so it's just not also fun to watch. But I think the BWL has a good idea. Like, it's a great idea, and I think they should keep going with it. Just the way it's kind of done and produced is needs a little tweaking to be done. But I think with overtime, it's going to get there.
Yeah, I know he's in, and you can see it's grown as far as the production goes throughout the week as he did it. You know, we just basically did the qualifiers for anybody that's wondering. We had like 16 teams. I know on Xbox, I don't know how many teams there originally were on PC. I think maybe 16 as well. But we got down to the top 8 teams. Is that correct, Remorse? Is that what it is on PC? I know that's what it is on Xbox.
It's
So
currently top 8 teams.
So we got down to the top 8 teams, and those were placement matches that we ran this week. And it started on Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday were PC, and Thursday and Friday were Xbox. And I know from talking to Bloodbath, like, one of the reasons he's got this question a lot, like, why do you have all these maps in here? And for him, it is the fact that a lot of these teams, I think, haven't got the ability to like scrim maybe a whole bunch, and they haven't got the ability to run all these other maps. So they do jump into ranked games, and that is kind of what they play and practice on right now, especially like on the console side. But his theology behind it, he said it a couple of times, is he leaves all the maps in because he feels like if you want to be the best team in the world, you need to be able to win on any map. And whether or not that's right or wrong from, you know, the pro side of things, and I understand some maps are unbalanced, that is kind of his reasoning right now. And I'm sure as the BWL grows, he'll evaluate it and then, you know, go, hey, this was working, this isn't working. Right. And so that it's going to be interesting to see where the BWL goes, but I do love what he's doing. I have to agree with you on that. I think it's a great opportunity for new players to come in. It's going to be really hard for them to come up against teams like Astral, right, and be able to play at that level. But you know, it is entertaining to see these new guys come in, and some of these other teams, especially that I saw come over on Xbox, that are new teams that are getting a chance to actually play and learn some things. And for the most part, the sportsmanship was awesome this past week, and the community seemed really cool. And he had a lot of people in there watching. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it grows. And I am with you though. I do want to see some of it line up more with the major pro league that we all hold this game to right now, which is ESL. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But I'm interested to see what the community feedback is as a whole when we're done with season 1, because it just runs for like 7 more weeks or the next weeks of it left. So I think it runs like 7 or 8 weeks. So we'll see what occurs. I mean, you guys placed in it though, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
placed in it. We were
And
testing
6
people out
seed.
and stuff. Yeah, 6 or something. I don't know what it even does, but
Yeah,
I think
we're
I don't
still
know.
trying to get a handle on our roster.
Right.
But no, the seeding just puts on like who's going to be playing in the bracket.
who did you guys have play your matches with this week? Because you didn't have your regular A roster going down, right? You guys
Yeah,
had some
for
sub.
Yeah, we're
for the
just.
first match.
Who did we have for the first match?
We had Jitus and Flex, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then
No.
the second one on the next day, I think we had
I
Flex
wanna say
and Prodigy.
Prodigy SB. I want to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep,
Cool.
yep.
Who'd you guys lose to?
Half.
Okay. So
I
obviously
think it
another
was overtime,
team.
right?
That you guys scrim them a bunch or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys kind of knew who they
When
were.
we had a solid roster, yeah.
Well, speak of the matches and the maps, you guys probably know him. I know you probably do. Remorse, another guy that I talk to quite a bit, and I play over on the PlayStation with. He's in everybody's Twitch chat. His name is I Play Naked, and if you know him, he has a great opinion of the game and what's going on all the time. He's got something to say. But he had a couple topics he dropped to me, and the first one was the topic of matchmaking preferences in the game. So just to set this up, this week we were playing some ranked matches. So we obviously, we turned off a hostage. We don't want to play hostage, obviously. We don't play secure the area. We want to play bomb only. And then we also turned off some of the maps. Like we want to play favela. We don't want to play plane. Some of the maps that you mentioned that you wish weren't in the BWL, we obviously didn't want to play those maps as well. So we selected these matchmaking preferences and we queue up. And what is the first game we get? We get freaking favelas. Now we get bomb at least, but it's on favelas. And Naked loses his shit, okay? Because he's like, what is the point of these matchmaking preferences? And so we had a long discussion about it. And I'm curious, I mean, why do they have matchmaking preferences in the game? And yes, to answer anybody's question, the whole team had selected these same preferences. So I know, like, if you go in and maybe the whole team doesn't select bomb only, you will get a hostage map or you will get a secure the area map or a game type. But we all had made sure we had the same selections on. Even when we backed out, we double checked it after that game was over, and it didn't work, and it never has for maps. Now, game modes it does, like I said, but maps it doesn't. What is the point of having that in there if they're going to make us play it anyways?
I actually have a theory behind
What is
that.
what is your theory, Remorse?
I've actually this is my eureka. So my theory is that Antno, since he does the UI stuff over for Rainbow Six, is secretly sadistic and enjoys other people's pain. And so he has coded, or I guess created, the matchmaking preferences board, and where it says on, like turn maps on and turn maps off, it's switched. That's my theory. So I actually turned on all the maps that I hate, and all the maps that I actually want, I turned off. And I won't lie to you, it actually kind of worked. I actually did only when I solo queued. Only when I solo queued. I didn't get favelas. I didn't get plane. I played like 5 games in a row, and the only thing that I ended up getting were just the standard maps. I played like Chalet Consulate. I played Hereford. I had a map on Skyscraper, and I had Skyscraper set to the off because I like it. Yeah, no, it seemed to work. I don't know why, but I thought, like, it's Ubisoft, why not try it?
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it could be totally anecdotal evidence, but I swear to God it worked.
They probably have something, sorry for cutting you off, but they probably have something like wrong or something with the coding that doesn't completely
I'm nearly convinced that it's literally a value that has been flip-flopped. I am utterly convinced of it.
I mean, I hope that's the fact, because I'd really, and I don't know why it's taking until almost season 4 to get there, but like, please, Ubisoft, if you listen to this, please take the matchmaking preferences and fix them so I don't have to play maps that I don't want to play. Or for those people that are playing ranked and are getting ready for the BWL or getting ranked for the ESL or Go 4, they only have to play those maps in rotation on ranked matches. That would be very, very helpful if you could do that for us. I mean, what do you think about FoxA? What do you think about putting in a map selection voting then? For instance, say they can't get the matchmaking preferences fixed correctly. What if they go in and they give us a map voting where they give you 2 or 3 maps to choose from when you go into a game, and the lobby can select from those maps, right? Say it's like I don't know, like I think we mentioned before the show that you've played Call of Duty before,
Yeah.
and I've played a lot of Gears of War, and I know on Gears you used to be able to say like you could do map A, map B, or random, right?
Yeah.
What if that's something that they added into this? Do you think that's a good solution?
Yeah.
For ranked
Again,
games?
coming from COD, I was a super big fan of the Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 4 or 1. But yeah, I was a super big fan of those. I'd really like to see where it's like 2 maps and then the random thing. Although hopefully they don't always put like Yacht and Border as the 2 maps and then have the random be like Favela. And just like screw everyone that way.
There's that sadisticness of Ubisoft come through.
Yeah, they're like, we'll give you what you want, but like they mess it up somehow.
It's a thinly veiled choice.
No.
Yeah.
But I think it would definitely be a good up for the game if they did that, because then people wouldn't be complaining so much about having to play Favela 5 times in the day.
Yeah, I don't want to play Favela any more than I have to. That's for sure. I mean, Remorse, is that a viable solution for them to put in the game though?
I mean, honestly, for me, I would say yes and no. The reason why I say yes, I mean, I think it could actually be pretty good in terms of you could have teams where if that map pops up again, you'd be like, all right, we're doing that again. We're going to do a redo on that. And they're going to try and end up winning on that. I think that could be a really fun thing where it would encourage doing rematches against the people that you've already gotten, which is going to speed up queue times, especially if you end up having a good group of high tier, like for the high tier diamond players, where there's really only like 50-ish people online at any given time or even less. It would speed up the queue times a whole hell of a lot, which would be great. And it would, I don't know, I think it has a lot of potential, but I also am somewhat concerned that it might just lead to a certain, like the Dust 2 type syndrome, if you know what I mean by that. It's where it's that so super popular map that's the only thing that's played. And I think that Ubisoft has been somewhat concerned about that, and that's kind of why we're in the system that we're in right now. And it seems like they've gone to the furthest opposite end of that to where you nearly actively play the maps that you hate the most or that you have chosen specifically not to play.
At this point, I'd rather have Chalet be the Dust 2 than Favela.
Oh, well, yeah. It seems like I know in the past they've discussed about how they weight these DLC maps at a higher percentage to be pulled as the map to be played. And I think that honestly, they really don't need to be doing that. If they want to do that in casual, whatever, sure, have fun with that. But in ranked, to constantly weight the new DLC maps as going to be more popular for the ranked setting, I don't think that that's necessarily right. I think every map should have the same percentage chance to be pulled if you're not going to respect the matchmaking preferences. It should just be the same percentage. It shouldn't have a more weighted. It shouldn't be more weighted to have these newer maps, because more often than not, it's these newer maps that have a lot of the balancing issues. Whereas you have these older maps, and if it's a ranked game mode, it's supposed to be about competition. It shouldn't be left down to something where you know that, well, shit, we're on defense first. And since we're on defense first, it means that we're going to end up grabbing that shit in overtime. And so you end up losing out because it goes, you lose on defense, you win on attack, you lose on defense again. Now it's 2-1. And now it's 3-2. Well, now it's 4-3. And then it goes into OT. So now you're 5-3. It's just, it's where you don't want to ever be on a map where you're put into a situation, where, you don't want to be put into a situation where you know the map is already lost just because it's so one-sided. And these older maps, these more traditional maps that have been out since the game's launch, have been balanced. They have been moved around, and while some have fallen out just because of new operators being introduced, notably House, um, they typically, for the most part, are a little bit more balanced than these newer maps like Favelas, which is insanely attacker sided,
Right.
where they can just blow open every single wall on the entire floor of the bomb site, and it relies entirely on defenders jumping outside trying to go for kills. So
Do you guys,
I think
do you
it's
guys, do you guys ever queue together as a team, FoxA? I mean, do you guys get in and do ranked as a team ever, or like when you play together, do you only play scrims?
I think it's a full 5 team. I remember I used to do with my past teams. Right now, from Astral, I think I've only played with like Remorce and Crim or Remorse and Daps like individually. I don't think we ever had like 4 or 5 people um, in one queue. But with other teams, yeah, for sure. Depends on how much people play ranked.
right, it's just not. I mean, I don't know. For the most part, if we have 5 people online all at once, we're going to be doing a scrim rather
Yeah.
than ranked. Only time we ever 5-man run ranked is when there's literally nothing left to do, and we've already done a dry run. We've already gone and talked strategy and stuff like that. Because running a 5-man ranked as a like pro team or a team that's at like a pro level, it just turns into a joke where none of us end up taking it seriously. I mean, it's like, no offense, but like we start like, just to be frank, fucking around, and
Right.
it's not beneficial. It's kind of a waste of time if we're setting aside that time for practice, especially when some of us have like when we have like wives or girlfriends or fiancés or whatever on the side where we have like set, oh well, we have 3 hours to play. We want to use that for practice for scrims against other teams rather than sitting in the queue for 10 minutes and then playing on favelas.
So
So
since we got FoxA here, why don't you guys like walk me through for everybody that's out there that's interested, like how it looks for a pro team as far as do you guys schedule out days out like, hey, we're gonna play this scrim against this team on this day, or is it like, maybe you guys are talking during the day, hey, let's jump on tonight, we're gonna scrim so and so. How does the prep phase go for a scrim? Like you guys talking strategy, like you mentioned. Do you guys jump into R6 maps and walk through it together, or like kind of fill me in, Foxa? Like what is your part of that when you guys sit down and get ready to scrim and go through strategies?
I remember when the game first came out with like newer teams, yeah, they just walk through the map, make sure everyone like knows the basics of it, and also new maps that come out. Like as a team, you walk through it and try and get the laydown. Also, when you usually go over strats, there's no other way than to just get 5 people, your team, and maybe your sub into a lobby, and you just go put the settings onto like a practice server type of thing, and you just go over it, running at the settings on your bomb site, whichever you choose on the depending map.
So y'all like looking at angles, you blowing up walls to look at angles?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, at like a high level, when you play the game like almost every day, you pick up on angles, you pick up on spots that a normal player wouldn't because you're playing it so much.
right.
And especially like in practice servers, like I know people who just open up a practice server when they wake up in the morning and they just mess around on the map and try and find something cool for the end of the day. It's not something I'd recommend doing for like a newer team. I know CTM, like Canadians, like really good at finding good things on certain maps. So there's that. And then for the scrims, I don't know about like the lower teams, but I know about higher teams. They kind of have like a set day time schedule, because I know Astra at least has a time schedule, and more of the more advanced teams do. And sometimes, if 5 people are on like on an off day, you can try scrimming. But for finding a scrim, you can definitely set some up with certain teams. But the best thing is just like, oh, if you have 5 people on, this is the time we scrim. Kind of, find another team that has 5 people on, ask if they want to scrim. Remorse, do you want to input anything?
yeah, I mean that's pretty much just the general thing. Last season or towards the end, I started using like I had an Excel spreadsheet where it would be like a calendar essentially, and I would contact other teams just kind of on the fly. and that was really nice for when there was an actual pro league season and everyone was on more consistently. But because of this invitational, I haven't been able to use that calendar thing as much anymore, where it's now much more like on the fly, just because people are either more sporadically playing, or they're just playing less, or they're playing at different hours than they would normally in a consistent season. So
So it's not
Yeah.
not like you guys have something planned every night at 5 o'clock. We
right. I mean, we
get
know
on and
that
we play
we
this.
get on like every day. Like I'll be messaging people on Discord, or in general just kind of around. I'll just be shooting messages to people. But for the most part, like last season, they would be scheduled, but for the most part, we do have like, okay, we're getting on at 8 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're getting on at 8 p.m. And typically, I will have already messaged some team and figured out probably an hour or 2 hour before what their schedule is for the night, and set up scrims like that. Just because the season's a little bit more volatile, I can't as easily swap things around, or it's not as easy to stay very consistent with a huge schedule, with the exception of a few teams.
Yeah, it's like being a hockey player for the Americans, like a football player. It's kind of, you have your certain days where you practice with your team, and then if you want to put in the extra hours after, then go right for it. Like me and Remorse play ranked at least like we play at least like one match a day, probably a lot more, but I'm just gonna say like a minimum. But then with scrimming, it's the certain days.
Right. I got
It's
you.
like a part-time job.
Well, there's one other topic here that I wanted to bring up. Is it's from Beriva, and he posted Siege crossed 20,000 average players in stream. And my question to you guys is, what do you think is making the game more popular? One of the things that I said on early episodes of Siege show is I thought this game was starting off slow, and I knew it would. I expected it to, but I also said that I expected it to grow and get bigger. And part of this, we saw this kind of happen, like with the game you previously played, Fox, with CS. Here in America, at least, it did start a little slower, and it's gotten very popular, right? And there's a lot of contributing factors to that. But um, for me, like usually as a console player, you see something happen, you see a game come out, and it either sells well or it doesn't, right? People either play it or they don't. And then I think because we have the PC side brought into this, that what ends up happening is you have the PC gaming is so different from console that like people see other people start playing, and then it's like a gradual build. And so for me, I think the PC side of this game is really what's pushing it to grow more, and in combination with the ESL making it popular, which is in turn then making people on console go, hey, why didn't I pick this game up? Oh, hey, maybe I should try it. All I have is on console. Oh, it's on console. Cool, I'll try it there too. I mean, Remorse, what do you think is causing? I mean, this game is usually now in the top 10 on Twitch, and it struggled to get in the top 20 the first 6 months it was out.
Literally Battleye. That's
Yeah,
that honestly is the biggest thing. I remember back when I did Siege the show with you guys the very first time, back when I was like episode like in the 10s still, I think. I remember you guys asking me what I thought would make this game become big. And back then I made the statement that this game has a deadline to make a certain change, and that if certain things are met by a certain time, the game would start to take off. And back then, back in February, I think when we did that interview, I said that so the game needed a few things to succeed. One, it needed to lower the price, at least by half, to be on sale frequently, or even more, down to be competitive with Counter-Strike if you wanted to be long term. And I said that it needed to be, and more so was that it needed an anti-cheat so that people could get into ranked, because an esport is kind of like a pyramid in a way. You have your the people that just play casually at the bottom, you have your people that play ranked above them, and you have the people that then try and play at the semi-pro and try and like just they play in the competitive stuff, they play in those third-party tournaments and things like that. And then at the very, very tip top, you have the Pro League players. And every single one of those pools is drawn from the one below it. And if you're missing any part of that, the top parts, the ones above it, will collapse. And back then, the part that we didn't have were the people who played ranked. It went people who played the game casually, minimal amount of people that played ranked, and
Rip Troy.
Rip Troy. Let's see. We'll wait. We'll wait till he gets back. We'll wait till he gets back.
Rest in peace.
Rip Troy.
You were on a good roll there too.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Was killing it. Oh, it's just big FoxA. Oh God. That is not what the people want. You are everywhere now. Oh God. Let me add him back in the call. Would you stop dabbing? God, you are such a fuck. There he is. He's back.
Is he?
I want to say almost.
He's not in Discord.
All right.
Oh,
So
easy.
that was an awesome Texas power outage.
Yay, he is back.
Brought to you by weather storms across America. So yeah, that was cool. Anyways, that was the fastest get back in this as fast as I
Back to Remorse's
but-
spiritual pyramid.
Yep, my
Yeah.
spiritual pyramid. Come on, man.
Yep.
It's important.
So you were saying that you thought that what would make the game more popular, you had told us.
Right. Okay.
Go ahead.
So essentially this game back then, before the anti-cheat came out, as I said before, like every single level builds and pulls from the one below it. And when the game when there was no anti-cheat and when ranked at a higher level was so prolific with cheaters, with people who hacked the game, and it was nearly every ranked game had someone cheating, you lose out on that group of people that play ranked that will then want to move up to ESL to play, that from there will then want to move up and put more time in to become a pro player. It was back when these Go 4 Cups only had like 6 teams every single week to actually play. And it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't good for the game. And I said that it needed an anti-cheat by August, and that before that, the price needs to go down. And oddly enough, like we see that just before August, or like not just before August, but with the anti-cheat, which came out in August, I want to say, there was that starter edition of the game for $15, which many people bought and many people ended up purchasing. And that gave a huge influx into the game. If you go and look at that graph, you can actually see where the player base average December, January, February, March, April was somewhere between like 5,000 and 8,000 average players a month.
Right.
Which really wasn't that good. But if you start to move in, you can start seeing when, boom, anti-cheat comes out August. It goes up to like about around 10,000. And then you have September, October, these 2 months where we're seeing every month a starter edition comes out or the game goes half price. The game goes half price, and you can start to find it on the Ubisoft store. You can find it on Steam, and you can find it on some gray market sites for a little bit cheaper too. And you can end up picking up the game for somewhere between $20 and $30, which makes the game much more accessible. And we now see where we're currently in January now, where the game has over 20,000 average players a month. And it's just something that where in the past, in this last December, like we've just seen a steady growth ever since they've introduced Battleye, ever since they've lowered the price of the game. And it's been really great. And honestly, the next step to make this game even bigger is once you start making high level play accessible. And what I mean by that is, one, Pro League play needs to be heavily promoted. And that needs to be through the game itself. Yeah. And once that's done, it means you need to start also finding a way for people to easily watch high-level gameplay. And not just through Twitch streams, but through the game. You see things like Overwatch, League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike. Many of these, if not all of them, have some function in order to watch high level play, or they are any pro league anything is front and center and heavily promoted. Heavily promoted. It's very big on the news section. Whereas right now with Siege, it's like a little sputtering thing at the bottom where it's only a tiny little caption that isn't even the correct operators. And even more so is actually used to promote other games, which
Right.
makes no sense to me at all. But
Ubisoft.
yeah, stop shooting yourself in the foot. Like, encourage, build up this game, focus on that. And it's like in Counter-Strike, if I wanted to learn how to play, if I was brand new and I'm like, shit, I'm a Nova 3, I'm terrible at the game, and I want to learn how a global elite, the top rank in Counter-Strike, I want to know how they play, I can go over to the watch tab and I can watch a game that's either ongoing or was played recently. And I can see that high level play. It's very, very accessible. And for this game, many people don't even know about the Pro League because that's how underpromoted it is. So many people aren't even aware of the fact that this game actually has a professional tournament type thing or where there's large cash prizes at all. And if the game wants to take the next step, not only, I mean, with some other things, it needs like a sandbox and some other stuff for general practice to encourage the micro skills. So where you can start practicing grenade throws and things of that nature. But beyond that, it's the Pro League portion has to be heavily promoted. And we're seeing this now with what's the load screen of the game? The Rainbow Six Invitational.
Yep.
And that's the first step. And they need more things like that. They need more news focused on Pro League things. It needs to be pushed more on the social media. It needs to be pushed more on Reddit. And back then, for seasons 1, 2, and 3, there was none of that. It simply didn't exist.
Yeah,
it didn't exist.
At the beginning, they kind of just like threw the game out there, and they're like, "Hey, come play this game," but they didn't like fix it. They didn't try to do much to it to keep the player base. They kind of tried doing with like CS:GO did, which I've said to like a lot of different people. It's just like they just want to throw it out there, get a lot of dedicated diehard fans, which like at the beginning they didn't. So right now, I think that a lot of YouTubers, like big YouTubers, are showing it. A lot of people are seeing like, oh, this game isn't as bad as I remember it being, or they see like it and they're like, whoa, this game's actually a lot better than I heard about it. So I think that's a huge part of like why people are coming to the game now. They just, and also like the promoting of pro leagues, but that's still an area that needs to be like, be a lot.
And
bigger.
it is a new beast for Ubisoft all the way around. You know what I mean? Like they've never done this before with any game. They've never had a game in the ESL before. And so I think they're learning. And if you, I don't know if you knew this, FoxA, but like the original dev team obviously is not there managing this game. They actually had a small, they broke it down once the game launched and had like, I think 80 people working, or 50 to 80 people still working on the game. And I don't even know how many it is now, a year later. But I think Ubisoft is seeing like, hey, okay, maybe this game can sell as much as we want it to. Maybe it can be as popular as we want it to. And I know they're listening to the pros, right? They listen to you guys. You guys have, communications with them, and they ask you guys a lot of questions, stuff like that. And hopefully they continue to do that. I think, it's, for me, it's encouraging not only because we do content for this and you guys, play it professionally, that we see the game grow, but I think as a whole, I really enjoy the game at a base level. And as a gamer and not as a pro, as a gamer, I hope it continually increases and they continually update it, and we see more and more people coming and playing the game. It's one of the more healthy, I would say, communities, even from what I've seen on the pro side, than some other communities that are out there, like League of Legends, for instance. It's very freaking toxic community. It's very rough to get into and be a part of. And this community, for the most part, is really accepting. Every batch has a couple bad apples, but for the most part, it's been really good. And I think if the pros keep the same mentality they have, and obviously so many that we've talked to have been humble and nice and appreciative, and they're here to make the game better as well, I think we'll continually see this game grow. So I'm excited about that. But before we get out of here, FoxA, give me one tip you're going to give to all the people listening if they want to be, or if they want to pull off a FoxA move. All right, they want to do something FoxA can do. What's the one thing you're going to tell them to do?
I'm gonna say something that
Remorse shaking his head.
I'm gonna say something
This
that
is
the guys
a
on
bad
Enix
idea.
to say. Every time they used to play me, they used to say that I play just like I snorted a line of cocaine before I got on my keyboard.
All right.
Yep.
So just play crazy. Just go crazy. Don't stop.
Inject all the G Fuel into you.
Okay. All the G Fuel.
Yep.
Remorse, what are you thinking? What is the sigh of and the negative undertone there in your face?
Well, FoxA many times, I get concerned that he may have injured his arm from patting his own back. So I was just really just anticipating what he was going to lead into from that. So
what would you say one thing that he does well that that you continually see him pull off, or kind of one base skill thing that he's pretty good at?
Can I say something for that?
Sure.
Here we go. Pat
Sure.
on the back.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, listen, I know I'm patting on the back, but I'm really good at bringing back the advantage. Like once we lose it.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a lot of aggressive play. Like he I don't know, Fox and I both have a fairly similar play style for the most part. We're both like pretty aggressive players that rely a lot on out aiming or just outplaying people that we're against. I mean that's essentially what a lot of the stuff that we do is. We're both roamers. We a lot of the time play or have always played very similar operatives anyways, and so pretty much everything that we do is kind of really similar in regards to that. Like we're like when he talks about like bringing back the advantage, it means he's going to take an aggressive play that has a risk to it, but it's kind of a calculated risk. It's going to be something that's, if accomplished, is going to pay off huge, and when we're already down a man, you might as well try something. So he's not afraid to make plays that can swing heavily into our favor. And when we have two players that are really confident in their aim to take these aim battles against the top teams, it really pays in our favor. You don't want a player who's constantly cowering behind a box at all times, because once you lose advantage, then once you're a man down, you stay a man down. And even worse, you're nearly two men down because now you have a guy hiding behind a box. Yeah. So it's good. It's good to have someone who can make those plays.
A playmaker.
Yeah, it's literally
enough
the playmaker.
Fox on the back.
It's better than fusing your teammates, so it's.
You didn't listen.
It's true. I feel like there's an inside story here. Well, as always, guys, we do appreciate you tuning in on Twitch. Appreciate you guys listening. Sorry about my little outage there, and obviously the storms in Texas going crazy. But thank you so much for listening. Please shoot us a review on Podbean or on iTunes. As always, we are here on twitch.tv/remorse every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And also, don't forget, go check out all of our associates, all the people that we support and look at as well over at the Reddit, breachingsiege.com, and Six Nation. And until next time, guys. Oh, wait, you can follow us on Twitter at Siege the Show. Follow me on Twitter at 2loudtx, Remorce at @Astral_Remorse, and FoxA at @Astral_FoxA. Wow, I'm gonna get it out one day. I'm gonna finally get through this. But anyways, guys, until next time, get real with it.
Okay, Buelo.
Oh, he's so much better than me.